Chief, Mrs. Fletcher, what brings you back here?
Do you use number 7 red dye to color any of the foods you produce in this plant?
Definitely not.
You sound quite certain about that.
I am. You see, number 7 red is never used as a food coloring because it's highly toxic.
I'd like to take another look around to confirm that.
Certainly.
So if the dye Gerald was carrying isn't used as a food coloring because it's toxic, that makes what he was planning to do to Maria's batch of sap all the more serious.
But it also seems to rule out Nature's Gift Foods as its source. Well, back to the station.
And back to square one.
It's going to take forever to find out what the source of that dye was.
I'm afraid so.
Hello, Mark. I'm here to collect Gerald's belongings.
Of course, Sally. I'll have someone bring the box to your car while you're filling out the yellow release forms.
Mrs. Morgan, I nearly forgot. A friend had this scarf of Gerald's and I offered to return it to you.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Fletcher. I hand-knit that scarf for Gerald last Christmas. I better fill out these forms and get back to the shop.
Hand-knit? Oh, dear.
What?
If Gerald didn't climb through the window at Maple Hill because he had a duplicate key, then he couldn't have been the one who left the green fibers behind on the windowsill.
So...
Let's have a look at the note Gerald received and those forms Sally just filled out. There's only one logical explanation for why footprints exactly matching Sally's were found on the floor at the crime scene.
Plus, the fact that Sally's handwriting matched a note telling Gerald to meet that night at Maple Hill means we ought to pay her another visit. Hello, Sally.
I didn't expect to see you again so soon. Any news on who killed Gerald?
All the evidence points to you, Sally.
What?
It's true. You knew about the affair your husband was having with Melanie Young and laid a careful plan to exact your revenge.
You're saying I lured my husband to Maple Hill and killed him?
In so many words, yes. You paid a visit to Gerald at Nature's Gift Foods and scribbled the note promising a reward if Gerald would sabotage Maple Hill. Then you left the note and the syrup bottle containing dye, likely yarn dye from this shop, for him to find.
That night, Gerald went to the sugar house, but you'd gotten there first. You used a steel knitting needle to pry open the window and get inside to wait for him.
But a knitting needle is not a good stabbing weapon, so you used the tree boar instead. Not only did it make a better weapon, but it would cast suspicion on Maria as the killer.
This is ridiculous speculation. I have better things to do than listen to your silly stories. Now, if you'll excuse me.
When we compare the fibers from that sweater we just found to the fibers left on the windowsill at the crime scene,
They'll match. I'll save you the trouble.
Sally, why would you want to kill Gerald?
Because when I found out he was cheating on me with Melanie, I was furious.
how did you find out?
One evening, I was alone. Gerald was working late again, or so he said, so I decided to go out for coffee. At one point, I went to use the powder room, and I passed Melanie's office. The door was slightly ajar, and I saw the two of them together.
You didn't confront them?
I almost did, but then I thought of a better plan. One that would allow me to get even with Gerald. I set him up to break into Maple Hill and photograph him in the act of tampering with Maria's equipment.
To get him fired from his new job?
But when he arrived, I couldn't help but confront him about his affair. And he laughed at me. He turned to go and I lost it. I grabbed the maple board and I rammed it in his back.
Sally, I'm placing you under arrest for the murder of your husband. And this time I'm not jumping to any conclusions, right, Mrs. Fletcher?
Right, Chief.
Jess, as a thank you, I'll treat you to the most decadent coffee beverage on the menu.
That's very kind, Maria, but I think I'd be happiest with a simple cup of tea.
Suit yourself. A double-shot mocha latte for me.
Have you made any decisions about what you're going to do now?
Well, this year's batch of maple sap has been ruined. After having a dead body soaking in it, I certainly can't use it to make syrup.
I should say not.
But I'm optimistic. My insurance should cover the loss, and Joanne Marshall and I have started new negotiations.
Really?
Yep, Nature's Gift Foods has a new offer on the table, allowing me to operate Maple Hill as an independent subsidiary.
That sounds like it will benefit both of you very well. To sweet success.
Hear, hear.